My apologies. Good morning. My name is Brian Moffitt. I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 9th meeting of the Asheville Downtown Commission. The Asheville Downtown Commission was created by the City Council for the sustainability and continued development of downtown, a vital urban center of Western North Carolina's economic, cultural, and visitor activity. The Downtown Commission provides City Council with recommendations on downtown policies and initiatives. In addition, downtown commissioners currently fill 3 out of 9 seats of the city's Design Review Committee, which reviews development projects within the Central Business District, the River Arts District, and hotel projects outside of those areas. The Downtown Commission also has the opportunity to provide input on projects outside of the scope of Design Review. We are streaming, correct? Yes, live on our virtual engagement hub, which is accessible through the virtual engagement hub link on the front page of the city website and also linked on the committee page. We have an option, yes, for the public to listen live by phone. Should?
Watch the stream.
Just to watch the stream. Okay, sorry. I knew there was something changed. For those of you who are out there with us today, welcome. So at this time, I will go through and introduce our committee members. As I call your name, please say a quick hello. Nora Edwards.
Hello.
Jessica.
Hi.
Michelle.
Good morning.
Stephen Lee.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
Sorry. Ricardo.
Good morning.
And Megan.
Good morning.
And our staff. Hi. Thank you for coming today. To help our audience follow along, I will state each section of the agenda aloud, and we will do a vocal roll call. Committee members, you know the drill. So our first item of business is our approval of our draft action minutes from our May 12th meeting. Are there any revisions, or is there a motion to approve those draft action minutes?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is approved. Okay. To the best of my knowledge, we did not have any a public comment submitted ahead of the meeting. I believe that's correct.
Correct.
We will make a small change on our agenda. The first item in new business is the Asheville Arts Shuttle updates. We're going to... Oh, you signed up for public comment now? Okay.
None was received in advance, but yeah,
None
if we could
received in
open up
advance.
public comment.
Thank you for letting me know. Well, before we get into our new business, then we'll invite public comment. Please come forward. I'm so sorry.
That's
Yeah, you
a
did.
sign-in sheet, but we will open up public
Yeah,
comment
we'll
at each
open up
meeting.
public comment for each thing. And if you don't mind, just state your name. And then I think we give folks 3 minutes, something like that. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Karen Ramshaw. I work with public interest projects here in town. And I decided to come to the meeting because late last week I saw that staff was planning to present an update on clean and safe. And I wanted to make sure that some of the downtown businesses and residents also had a chance to get their perspective. So I sent out an email to a lot of people I know, so it's not scientific. And I have to say it was really sobering. I was really shocked at how many folks are feeling very tentative and are not sure how sustainable things are for them. But I do have some comments that they came up with. First, we believe the Safe and Clean initiative has focused some long overdue attention on downtown. Everyone I spoke with said it was making a difference with comments like, it feels less wild, it feels calmer, it's not as crazy, it's cleaner, there hasn't been the aggressive panhandling. This doesn't mean everything is fixed. People are still defecating behind our dumpsters, leaving needles in our bathrooms. It can be really sketchy, especially late at night. And last week I approved the removal of a number of beautiful mature flowering bushes because the homeless campers threatened and then threw a rock at our maintenance guy. But our second thing is, how is Clean and Safe a 60-day initiative? I mean, seriously. Clean and Safe should be the very floor of what we should expect in our downtown. Or in bid language, Clean and Safe are baseline services. I have a graph here from Urban 3, which I'm sure a lot of you know. The blue is the rate of growth in the downtown property taxes. All the way through here, we had a downtown police force and public bathrooms. And then we lost them. But you're making more money. And so, you know, I mean, one example, I used to manage the lot where the loft is now, we paid less than $10,000 in property taxes during that period. The loft is now paying, one little hotel is paying $293,000 a year. So where's the money? I mean, why are we paying more and getting so much less? And the other point is downtown is really important to our region's health. This is just property taxes. But the little business that we run had a payroll last year of over 1.8 million, and we purchased hundreds of thousands of dollars of local goods and services. I spoke with another owner who was willing to give me numbers, and he said their payroll for his two little businesses downtown was over 5 million, and he paid over $2 million purchasing goods and services. And you just multiply these numbers by the dozens of businesses we have in downtown. And I'm really tired of hearing about, oh, we don't want to put money into downtown because it's all about the tourists. Well, here's a news flash. We don't have any tourists on our payrolls. All the money we pay out allows locals to pay rent and mortgages and buy groceries and live here. And because most of our downtown businesses are local, our profits don't head to Arkansas or some other corporate headquarters, but stay in our community. And don't forget, we have more county residents coming into the city to work than we have visitors coming here to play. Clean and Safe is about our community's businesses, our community's workers, and our community's sustainability. And an ignored side effect of disbanding our downtown police force is we no longer have a group of officers who know our most vulnerable, have extra training dealing with mental illness and substance abuse, and know the resources in our community. They're being hurt as well. Downtown businesses are having trouble finding staff because people don't feel safe and are tired of scrambling for parking. Landlords are losing tenants, both residential and commercial, who simply can't take it anymore. Many of our long-term visitors are going elsewhere, and many locals proudly announce, we never go downtown, then complain that downtown is too touristy. Some of our great local businesses are asking themselves the question, is downtown still a viable option for us? We need clean and safe 365 days a year. And if the city and county think they don't have the money now, wait until downtown is boarded up again. Thank you.
Thank you. I was right at 3 minutes, too. By the way.
Karen, your handouts, I would like to see them, whether in email or hard copy form.
I will email.
Yes, thank you very much, because you made some points that have been rolling around in my head, so, thank you.
Since I flubbed that, is there any other public comment? Okay. Thank you very much. Well, so with that, we're actually going to head into our new business. We're going to flip the Asheville Arts Shuttle update and do the Downtown Safety Initiative update first as part of that discussion. So I don't know who's on first.
That will be me. Good morning. Let me just pull this up. You should all now have this presentation in your folders as well. Okay, good morning. My name is Dana Frankel. I'm the Downtown Planning Manager in the Planning and Urban Design Department, and I am serving as Project Manager for our Downtown Safety Initiative. I'm happy to provide an update to you all today, and we also have other staff resources, Ben Woody from our City Manager's Office, Lieutenant Jonathan Brown from the Police Department, and Assistant Chief Patrick Crudup from our Fire Department. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this, but these folks are absolutely available for questions and any discussion that you all would like to have following the presentation. So we came to your last meeting. We had the city manager and we had the police chief, and we gave you all an overview of what the Downtown Safety Initiative is. This time coming back with a presentation, so if it didn't sink in last time, just a little bit of an overview to start. It's a multi-departmental, multidisciplinary effort with a high level of focus on safety and cleanliness, as well as assisting individuals in need within the Central Business District. So we launched the initiative May 1st. It includes increased law enforcement presence on foot and by bike, especially a community responder pilot program with our fire department staff who are out proactively engaging with individuals and assisting the folks in need. We have enhanced security, maintenance pretty much in all of our facilities, including downtown, including parks. We have increased cleanliness activities, again, across our facilities, but our public works folks are stepping up some of their cleaning services they're able to provide, trash can checks and things like that, as well as our contracted services. Lighting maintenance has been a major focus, so we have our transportation staff. They've done over 30 different corridor assessments for lighting. We have our APD working on those lighting assessments as well to understand those lighting conditions and be able to move forward with improvements. We have increased focus in parking enforcement, particularly those areas where we've heard concerns about enforcement in the past. And a big part of this initiative is about working with the community and community collaboration. So some of these issues that we have, some of this is being done because of an uptick in crime in the downtown area and because of concerns about public safety generally. And so some of that is real, some of that is a feeling. We want to create the safest feeling environment that we can. We obviously have challenges on a lot of fronts related to homelessness and other issues. So the solutions really require all hands on deck. So we've been working with the community in a few different ways. We're offering public safety assessment walks to go out with community and business representatives to look at different areas of downtown, really to listen, to understand. You guys are the folks that see these things every single day. You know what activity happens in different nooks and crannies. We would like to hear from you, what concerns you, what ideas you have. And so we've done 2 of those walks, and thank you to Megan and Air, also to the ADA for helping organize those. And we have another one planned. We also are supporting community cleanups through Asheville Greenworks, and we have had several of those community cleanups take place, and I know another one's scheduled for late in June. Thank you to the ADA, and thank you to Air. Really appreciate that. And we're providing guidance on what individuals can do to help create a safer environment for all. So that includes ways that you can report different concerns, ways to report crimes, as well as crime prevention tips. And part of the learning, I'll say too, with the safety assessment walks, but throughout this initiative, is identifying different things we can do. There are absolutely things the city can and should do, and there are things that businesses can do as well. And so we want to work with you all to identify what those opportunities are. So one important part of this effort is that we are tracking everything very specifically, and we want to learn as much as possible during this time as well as after this time. So we're tracking all our activities and actions. We're working with our Office of Data and Performance, and we're really looking for ways to be able to continue some of these successes, both in terms of services and actions, but also in terms of these systems that we're utilizing to be able to continue those long-term. So this is all available on the project page on the website. These are the types of activities and actions, some of them that we're tracking. This data is from the first month of the program, May 1st through May 28th, and just wanted to call out a few things. Over almost 2,500 graffiti tags have been removed. I mentioned several volunteer cleanups. Our community responder team, just want to call out some of the work that they're doing. They've done, this is just for the first month, 116 wellness checks, 9 first aid wound care needs addressed. So these are the types of things that they're doing. They're looking to support folks where they are, help connect them with resources or address issues right there on site. Asheville Police Department has made 684 business contacts, so they're also taking a proactive approach to really understanding what's going on, making contact with people, and helping address concerns. On the compliance front, again, kind of on that note, 261 verbal warnings carried out by Asheville Police. They are taking an educational approach as much as possible, being present in the community on foot and bike, having these conversations whenever they can before situations escalate. 99 Pritchard Park area parking loading zone citations issued. And then just a couple more things. So environment improvement, again, trying to create a safe feeling, welcoming feeling area and kind of, and tracking all of those things that go into creating that. So 34 streets reviewed for lighting concerns. And again, we've conducted these safety assessments. Plenty more here for you all to take a look at. Sure, Andrew.
Quick question, amenity improvements.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you give an example?
Yeah, and offhand, I don't know specifically what those are. Let me think. Replacing a bench that was failing with a new bench. The things like the fountain that needed a little help, extra help. So yeah, so that type of thing. Community responder program. So we have a dashboard available that's tracking all of their interactions, so you can check this out on the website. And again, we do have Assistant Chief crewed up here, so happy to have more discussion about this. But they're really, their approach is very proactive, and we are filling some gaps in being able to provide that service out in the downtown environment. So really engaging with folks. They have worked with our homeless resources staff to ask a number of questions so that we as an organization can be better informed about what the needs are. And so we'll have a lot more information on that too once this initiative is complete. And our Asheville Police Department, I covered most of this, really working to have an increased proactive presence as well within the downtown. And engaging with folks as much as possible, taking that educational approach and assisting with lighting assessments and other condition needs assessments related to public safety as well. And beyond the 60 days. So we will be looking at our crime data, of course, during this period. Lots of things to consider with that. We, of course, are asking people to report as much as possible. So we're going to be taking all of that into consideration when we do this analysis. The Downtown Association had done a survey in February that showed concerns about public safety and cleanliness. We're going to be working with the Downtown Association to put out an updated survey with relevant questions to see if any of those sentiments have changed and really kind of learn what we can from that. We also are going to be reviewing all of the activities and actions that have been done, seeing what that looks like, maybe compared to the clean and safe services that we always provide, and seeing if there are gaps and what those resource needs are to get from point A to point B. And again, seeing there are things that may be able to continue just operationally right away. There are things that may require additional resources, so we'll be doing that analysis. We also, yeah, go ahead.
Well, okay, so day 61, what stops and what keeps going?
So I don't, at this moment, I can't tell you that, but we will be able to tell you that.
Okay.
Again, we provide services, you know.
I get that. So in other words, there were things that were started with this Clean and Safe program that you're going to evaluate, in some period after this, going to be looking at metrics. And I know that as we get closer to that date, the city's going to be looking at that kind of stuff and deciding what keeps going. I just didn't know if we already knew, for example, community responder program. That's probably not gonna, day 61, they're just gonna, go to 7-Eleven and camp out until you tell them to come back. That's gonna keep going, most likely. I'm just, based on what the data you've seen so far, or if there's a sense in the city and if there's someone else that needs to kind of respond to these, I'm just, this is what I'm hearing. I kind of just heard it again with Karen, which is, this is good, we're pleased, more of it, and how do we know day 61 what keeps going?
Yeah.
And I know you don't have to have that answer today necessarily, because,
I understand that that's what people want to know.
Yeah. Okay, all right, keep going, I'm sorry.
So let's see, I think we have kind of wrapped up here. Just making sure you all are aware of the resources we're making available to you and to consider ways that you might be able to participate or otherwise engage. And just kind of as a wrap up, so we know that downtown public safety is a complex issue. It requires a community response, interdisciplinary response. The focus is on conditions related to public safety and cleanliness, as well as helping those in need of assistance. And obviously, services and actions are being tracked, and all of this will help inform next steps, and we encourage you all to stay engaged. And with that, yeah, happy to answer questions, happy to invite Ben Woody or anyone else up to.
I have a question. It might be for Lieutenant Brown. One of the things Chief Zach mentioned in our last meeting is that there were crimes that were not necessarily being reported because people didn't think that they were going to be followed up on, shoplifting and things like that. And he was really encouraging people to please report. We need the data so we know what to respond to. In the past 30 days of the 60-day, have you seen an uptick in reporting at least? I don't know if my question's being clear. In other words, are we giving you the data you need so that you can make the adjustments in personnel that you need?
Yeah, that's a good question. In terms of a data point to give you, I don't have that right now, but
Okay.
Intuitively, I would suspect that we are seeing more response from the business community. We've had over 680 business contacts. Those are extremely important in terms of face-to-face contacts that officers are making with business owners and personnel within the businesses. I have to believe that those are resulting in an increase in reporting. We have our online reporting portal that has continued. That was initiated a couple of years ago. So I can get back to you on the actual numbers, but I can tell you we're seeing a tremendous uptick just in contacts, and I would suspect that that's also resulting in an uptick in reporting, which, to your question, is extremely important in terms of staff allocation and, basically where are we putting officers? So, yeah.
I actually have a question for you as well, Lieutenant. Actually, two. I see 41 arrests are showing on the city's website. Can you break those down a little bit? Are we talking about violent versus nonviolent assaults, robberies? Do you have that?
Yeah, so you're going to see arrest across the spectrum. You're going to have some of all of that. Most of what we're seeing are what we consider lower level nuisance crimes, open containers, trespass violations, things of that nature. We're at about a 6-to-1 ratio in terms of verbal warnings to arrest, which means that when we kicked this initiative off, we wanted to be intentional about being educational, creating conversations, and then when the conversations weren't as effective, we'll follow up with arrest and enforcement actions. We've seen success in that, but I think we're seeing everything from your low level to, for example, this past week, we had stabbing downtown at College and Haywood Street. So, yeah, it's across the board.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about the, first of all, thank you for being here and thank you for all that you've done. The past 45 days, wherever we are in this, has been a noticeable difference in downtown, and we really appreciate that. I would encourage all of us to go out of our way to thank an officer, buy him a cup of coffee. Whenever you see, I walk through Pritchard Park just to say thanks for being here. So I really do appreciate y'all being here. What's the plan for a continued partnership with the Sheriff's Department in downtown?
Yeah, good question. I don't know that I'm prepared to give a response to that, other than I know that those talks are ongoing and plans are continuing in the moment. So collaboration with the Sheriff's Department is something that we both want on both sides, and I'm sure that is moving forward, and plans are being made for the two to have some collaboration in the downtown area.
Good.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
How's hiring going?
Yeah, I think we are starting to see some positive results in hiring. We're starting to see more laterals that are coming in. I don't want to give you numbers because I'll give you the wrong ones if I do it off the top of my head. But there has been more laterals that have inquired about employment with the agency. There's been more laterals that have actually submitted application to the agency within a recent period of time versus what we've seen over the past 2 or 3 years. So that's really encouraging. And just the overall, I can tell you that the overall sense within the department, there's a lot of positivity. And, we're encouraged, and I think the morale is definitely headed in a positive direction. And I think what that will result in is that word of mouth advertising that we all have as officers. We'll probably see more applications as a result. So good things happen in terms of hiring, I think.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you so much, sir.
Just real, I don't want to,
Ben's
thank
gotta
you, Lieutenant Brown. I don't want to, I'll just for a second, or a few minutes, I'll say, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the police department and the fire department for their efforts in this initiative, but also I'd have to thank our other operational departments and Dana Franklin, everybody that's really leaned in to try and make this successful. And kind of what we're hearing is it's had a positive impact. So again, just want to recognize the staff that have really worked hard to make this successful. And Dana does a great job with presentations. I just want to add a couple little pieces of information. First is we're not waiting till July 1 to do the analysis. We're starting that now. So we're already actively meeting and trying to look at the data and the impacts. And that's why we wanted to get, normally you would do a survey when you're done with something. Well, we're doing the ADA survey midstream because we want that feedback before July 1. So I just want to reiterate that we are already trying as an organization to determine how we can continue the momentum. So I just want the community to hear that in this commission. There are absolutely things that I think we can continue in the downtown area. There are maybe things that we have to look at resources and how do we, long-term provide some of those enhancements. But the goal is to keep the momentum going. So I just want to be real clear about that. I'm really proud of the staff and, again, police and fire for what they've done to try to step up, and we want to support them and do everything we can to continue that. So, and just a little bit of nuance. And so part of it is, I think, is looking, what are the actions that we've done in downtown and what has that resulted in and what's worked and what hasn't, good analysis. But the other piece, just to keep in mind, also it's looking like, well, what are the resources, that perhaps, has it had impacts outside of the downtown? Because, truthfully, in some of the operation departments, we've moved some resources around and done some creative scheduling, and we may find that some of that has not had a negative impact in other areas of the city, and I don't know that it has so far. So, but again, the analysis has to be thorough, it has to be comprehensive. So I just want to reiterate that we are doing that now, and we will come back to the community and we will share all that information and hopefully make a good decision that supports the downtown, but also is works for the staff and the rest of the community. So again, I just want to I want to amplify what Dana's coming here and telling you and just saying that, yes, we are taking this very seriously. And I appreciate your time today.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I think that's one of the sort of the big concerns about the sustainability of this is that, sort of not, loss of services in downtown over the years wasn't sustainable. Before we lose services in other neighborhoods, that's not sustainable either. It's a it's a really a whole city, this downtown is a whole city issue. And I appreciate that we're thinking about it that way. And it's been nice to have the city back in downtown.
Any other questions? We have AFD here as well, but we won't make him speak if we don't have to. Any other questions from the commission? Comments? Okay. Thanks, Ben. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, we'll move on to our next item of business, and we'll just for the public, this is something that we're very much interested in and requesting continual updates, and we'll continue to do that. I think this is the appropriate forum or inappropriate forum for such. With that, hello, Representative Edwards. I'll move on to our next item of business, which is the Asheville Art Shuttle updates. Katie?
So it's not a shuttle, it's a trolley.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Katie, if you want the actual presentation, I can do that.
Would you mind? It might be easier
Just
than me
take one
trying to
minute.
scroll and talk. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Katie Cornell, and I'm the Executive Director of Arts AVL, formerly Asheville Area Arts Council. I'm also the immediate past chair of the Public Art and Cultural Commission, so it feels very weird to be on this side of the table. So I'm just going to go ahead, Dana, and try and do this. All right. So if you don't know, Arts AVL is the designated arts agency for Buncombe County. There's usually only one per county. And we directly serve artists and arts organizations. That's what makes us different. We are designated by official resolution by the county as the designated arts agency, and so we can receive state and federal funding on behalf of the county to re-grant to arts organizations. We are a 70-year-old organization, and like I said, we did change our name from Asheville Area Arts Council to Arts AVL just last year. So our mission is to keep the arts at the heart of our community, and we do this through connection, advocacy, and grants. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So as far as advocacy goes, we do that by representation, data, and advocacy events. Here, let me just switch. Right.
Okay.
Hold on, Dana. It's okay. I can just do it this way.
It's available to the public now, so if you reload it, it should come up.
Oh.
It's easier on this side, right, Katie?
It really is. Dana, help. So our second focus area besides advocacy is grants. And so in the last 5 years, the Asheville Area Arts Council, RCVL, has re-granted close to $1 million through 325 grants to our local arts community. And then our third area is connection, which is what I'm here to talk to you about. That focus area is connecting creatives to each other as well as connecting creatives to the community. And as soon as I get some slides, I will talk more about it. So I'm on the third slide. I can do it this way. All right, before I get into talking about the trolley, I do want to point out, we just put out a new report last week, a creative economy snapshot. This is part of how we do advocacy, is we report on our creative economy. And I'm happy to say that jobs and sales have finally gotten back to where they were in 2019. This does not mean that our creative economy is thriving by any means, but it means we have a light at the end of a very deep hole. Just for perspective, our reports from before the pandemic, from 2015 to 2019, the creative economy grew 53%. So that just shows you how much stifled growth we're experiencing. I also want to point out we have a series of advocacy events coming up in the next fiscal year, so 2023, 2024. The next town hall event will be in August on arts marketing. We'll have our State of the Arts Address brunch in October. So we'll be hearing from city and county about how they support the arts at this event. We'll be doing a town hall on arts data in November. We're going to be talking about arts access in February, both from an accessibility and an equity standpoint. And then next May, we're going to be talking about creative space. Affordable housing, is an issue that is impacting our creative economy as well, but also creative businesses. So, connection, we're finally there. This year, we have launched a new Arts Trolley initiative. This has been discussed for many, many years, and a lot of people have tried to get this off the ground, and we decided to make it happen. So the Arts Trolley this is our pilot year. We're starting off with just doing second Saturdays. This initiative started in the River Arts District a few years ago. Unfortunately, they didn't collect any data on it, how many people rode it, how it impacted sales. And so that is what we are really focusing on in this pilot year. We've also expanded it to include the Central Business District. We have also added some additional membership benefits to our website, a new directory, event listings, and opportunities to also enhance this connection with the creative community. So the free Arts AVL Connect trolley linking downtown in the River Arts District through 2 linking trolleys runs every second Saturday. So our next one is tomorrow from 12 to 8 p.m. So we feel like this will help our creative businesses that are still struggling to recover from the pandemic. It reduces traffic and parking issues, relieves parking issues, provides connection to high-density areas in the River Arts District and the Central Business District, and disperses tourists. It encourages tourists to fully explore these high-density artist areas. So we have an interactive trolley map on our website. You can actually watch the little trolleys ride around downtown and the River Arts District while the trolley's running. And this just gives you kind of a breakdown of where those downtown and River Arts loops are connecting. There is a connector stop in the River Arts District right in front of the Wedge building where you can get on one trolley or the other. So, how can you help? You can ride the trolley. Again, the next one is tomorrow. Help us spread the word about the trolley and help us support trolley expansion. This year, we're starting with just second Saturdays, but it is our goal next year to expand to every Saturday. And our ultimate goal is to get to having the trolley every Friday and Saturday. And lastly, you can be a member of Arts AVL. So any questions?
How are you collecting the data now?
So we have, the trolley drivers have clickers, and every hour they are writing down how many people are getting on the trolley. And then we have a survey that goes out to all the businesses along the route after each trolley date. And we ask them about their sales on the first Saturday and the second Saturday, so we can see what kind of impact is happening on that second Saturday.
And I just want to share with everybody else, from my view in the creative industry, things are popping right now. It anecdotally might, you know, from just like my side of, you know, how much music I'm playing, I have to buy talent, you know, it's my job at Lazoom. Yeah, I've been scrambling to find bands recently because everybody's busy. And so I want to say this, I will say last year did not feel post-pandemic, this year does. So that's a really good thing. I love that this is happening and this is great. I do know that whatever level of success you're having doing it 2 Saturdays a month is going to be much less than if you have it every Saturday, because it feels like an event rather than a service. And I think that what you're going for is service. Unless you can do it every week, you know, and it's just there all the time, it's going to feel more like an event than a service. And I know from promoting and trying to do things that something that happens every week reliably without thinking about it, you know it's going to be there on that day, is going to be better. So let's get there as soon as we can. And how can we help? And what resources, I guess, are you missing to get to an everyday place? Is it just funding? Is it buses?
It's funding.
It's funding.
Yeah, and it's always money. Right now, we're relying on sponsors to pay for the second Saturday trolleys. Because there was no data collected, we were not able to apply for grant funding. And so that is our hope, is in the next year, we'll be able to apply for some grants to help supplement the cost of the trolley.
So bootstrapping with sponsors to try to get funding once you got the data.
Yeah.
Got it. Great. Well, let's pump up the data, guys. Let's go see some art tomorrow.
Oh, there's some really cool stuff happening tomorrow. There's a yarn bombing as well as burners and barbecue happening in the River Arts District. So there'll be live mural painting as well as the yarn bombing. It'll be a lot of fun. All right.
Thank you. All right. So our next item of business, that's me. Consideration of new meeting date time. As you can see,
So moved.
Sage is not here. We need our council representative, so we had discussed that. Now, I just want to make sure we're clear on something. So one of the staff did talk about it. The reason we didn't vote on it last time is staff wanted to make sure we understood all the implications. I still don't understand, even though I've read all this stuff. But basically, it means that if we meet at 9 o'clock in the morning on the fourth Friday of the month versus the second Friday, it puts us kind of, it means that for project review, most project schedules are going to go to the design review committee before they come to us. Right now, they come to us, and then they go to the DRC, and then they go down the line. It's not always necessarily going to happen that way, but it's most likely going to happen that way. Now, I don't have a philosophical issue with that. I just want to make sure that looks like that's the discussion point. You know, if that's an issue. In other words, we would have as a commission and now we have 3 members of the Downtown Commission that serve on the DRC. So those, DTC members would still have that kind of input. But you all know that our input on project specific has lessened dramatically with this structure, right? The developers don't even really come to Downtown Commission because ours is mandatory review, voluntary compliance. If they're in DRC, they've usually got to comply. It's usually how that's been working. So our ability to impact specific projects is less. Now, I actually don't have a problem with that from the Downtown Commission because the way I see the two bodies working is that the Design Review Committee is commenting directly on the projects. Thank you, Katie. The DRC is commenting on a project-specific level. The way I see us really evolving into is that we are reviewing the project submissions to see if we're getting the kind of, the policies that we have in place are getting the kind of outcomes we want. In other words, we're not necessarily even looking at the submittal itself, because we don't have a ton of impact on that submittal. What we do have impact on is policies, right? Policies and procedures, right? So we're looking at the outcome to say, is this do we want more of what this is? Because the policies and the procedures that we have in place are generating these kinds of things. Do we need to change a policy or procedure to get something different, right? Am I making sense? So that's kind of how I see this specific. So whether it's before or after is of less import, because we're looking at it from a little bit more of a meta level than a project-specific level. That's my thinking. And I didn't know if anyone else had anything, and if that even matters. But I am in favor of moving our meeting date to the 4th. I don't think that it best we can tell from staff, it doesn't impact any other decision-making body or put us behind.
Is there a reason that the design review still couldn't come after?
Well, Robin, you know this, so it would, if you did that, they would then have to wait another month. You know, they would lose a month, and they wouldn't be able to get into P&Z.
P&Z, yeah, I forgot.
So the way the project flow works right now is that they come to us, they go to DRC, then they go to P&Z. So if they had to wait, they would wait another month for the next month P&Z meeting, and it would put all those projects, you know, behind. They would have to wait a little bit longer. The way the flow works now, they stay on.
And to your point, and we've seen it recently is, you know, we at the Downtown Commission, we've made comments on a project, and then, you know, the DRC looks at it, you know, a week or two later, and the project team hasn't responded to those comments at all. And there's nothing that the DRC can do about it either. So, you know, other than repeat it.
Right.
You know, if I was going to characterize a lot of our discussions here, sometimes it's not really about the project. It's about the rules that the project is operating under.
Precisely.
And we feel like the rules are sort of generating these outcomes again and again that we don't like. And, you know, so it's almost like you can hate the result or you can hate the algorithm. And again and again, it seems that we feel that the rules that the developers are playing under aren't serving us or them. And
that's what that's our purpose, right? Is to provide that kind of feedback to staff, to council. We think the UDO needs to be modified here. We think the standard specification manual needs to be updated here so that we get a better outcome.
yeah.
So
I feel widely I mean, I worked last night and didn't get home till after midnight. So I personally, yes, 9 a.m. sounds great. But I feel like I'm widely deferential to you know, everybody else's needs. I know that this allows our council liaison to be able to go to both meetings that she's assigned to, and I'm also feel widely deferential to our members who are on DRC because you know y'all are being served by these discussions in some way before you go in, and I don't want to deny you guys that if that's a real service. So I'm gonna however this goes, I'm gonna vote with y'all.
I agree about moving it so that Councilwoman Turner can be here, and the 9 o'clock, you know, 30 minutes isn't that big of a deal, but I don't know, I just see some benefit when the Downtown Commission as a whole reviews a developer's project, the developer has to be here, and then a week or two later, Design Review Committee can actually take some of those comments that do have to do with design and perhaps perhaps in mandatory compliance, those are required. And it might be that, let's say next month, we have design review committee the second week, and then, or in August, why can't they be scheduled? I mean, they may be waiting 3 weeks, but in terms of getting a hotel through downtown, 3 weeks is not really that big of a deal, it seems like. But I just think that
We're not saying, well, we're not saying that they can't come to DRC ahead of, downtown commission on the fourth Friday, and then go to the DRC the next month.
the problem is with planning and zoning.
Right, and it's when the submittals are due, right? It's when the submittals are due, it would accelerate, they would have to have their submittal in time for us, although we here at downtown, we could just say we want to see the informal submittal before the formal submittal is finalized to go to DRC. Because we're looking at it from a policy perspective as much as anything.
Well, and that's true. That's a good point. You know, any significant development that does have mandatory DRC compliance is going to come through more than just once.
Correct.
It's going to have informal and then
I think so.
formal,
And we speak to, and we always do, and can, to design issues, because that's a policy issue. You know, just at the last one, I think it was, even Michelle was saying, hey, you know, this thing for Aspire, I want to make sure that we recognize the historical riches, or I can't remember now. Basically, she said it doesn't have to look modern. I don't remember how she said it, but and we inserted language from the DRC. We inserted that kind of language into the project conditions. So there are good design, you know, feedback that the downtown commission gives that, like you said, we as DRC give. Oh yeah, we need to make sure we do that. Go ahead.
Can we consider a different day of the week so that we can maintain the current process?
If you all aren't ready to consider fourth Friday morning, we could do a doodle poll. I mean, second Thursday could be an option. I know first Friday wasn't an option, which would work really well timing-wise, but maybe first Thursday. So if you're not ready today, we could definitely look at other days of the week.
Wild idea. What if DRC met the same day that downtown commission met? You know, okay, all right.
So the last DRC meeting was 4 hours.
I take it back. I take it
The last
back.
one was 4 hours.
That's a no-go.
Honestly, it gets really hard. They try to outlast us. And it gets really hard to stick to your guns when you're tired.
Yeah.
It's like disciplining children, you know?
But
So-
their hourly rate in this room, their hourly rate in this room might be a little different than ours here.
But I also think, like, as the people on DRC that represent Downtown Commission, it is helpful to have, I feel like I am representing this body. So getting the feedback from this body before the meeting makes me feel more.
Let's do this then. We're not going to vote on this today. I'd like to do the doodle poll thing. Clay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I wanted to let you all know that what we use kind of as a triggering mechanism is the appearance at technical review.
Right.
And Will and I have been alerting applicants to coming to this commission informally as quickly as possible so that your comments can filter through the design review. And that's going to kind of happen with the Tempo Hotel, which is the other hotel over there between
Carter
and Ann. And then, so, you know, no matter what, you have staff also there to help make that happen. So at the beginning, you know, once we have TRC, I think we have a package that's significant enough for you to review informally, and then they can have time to get that to design review. And it also looks like folks are becoming more comfortable with the recommendation we're making to come to design review informally first, so that they can, you know, flesh out the major issues before they submit a formal package to the design review for approval. And then the last thing I would add, the other aspect of what I've witnessed in my short time here, the importance of this commission has been highlighted in those two projects on Ann and Carter Street. There are issues there that this body considers that can't be handled in design. And so your input has been already helpful, and I look forward to it for that next project as well, because there's an interesting opportunity with two projects happening at the same time to kind of foster some way to work together. And this body seems, to me, like the kind of body that could facilitate that interaction.
So with that, are you saying the fourth Friday is not a big deal with the project schedule?
I think it would, we can work around that, but I think it's what's best for you, and then it's up to us to figure out a way to make it happen. But you know.
Well, the consensus I'm hearing is that there is loud sounds going on. It's
a noise disturbance, so we should use the Asheville app.
Springtime in New England.
Yeah. The consensus I'm hearing is that there's value in a SENA project, even informally, which essentially the Downtown Commission, all reviews are more or less informal because we're not impacting the project conditions the way DRC, P&Z, all those other TRC organizations do. But the design review committee sees the value in having it here first and then coming to DRC. So I don't know the best way to do that. I think a doodle poll probably makes sense. We'll keep the second Friday. We'll do next month, on the same thing while we figure this out. We'll do a doodle poll, right? Does that sound reasonable to you? Okay.
The fourth, hate to bring this into the conversation, the fourth Friday works much better for the Pack Square project. But we're never gonna get this perfect. It's what you all want to do.
But if what Clay's saying, I mean, we might
Right.
see where to go forward. If what Clay's saying is that as long as we can see a project here before it goes to DRC, we don't care what day of the week it's on as a body. Fourth Friday's no worse for me than second Friday. They're all bad.
The way this fourth Friday, well, I don't want to interject. The fourth Friday makes it easier for us in terms of having that schedule go, because people will submit for DRC and it'll be in the queue to get into this body on that fourth Friday, nine times out of 10. Right?
I think also Councilwoman Turner had some day of the week.
Yeah, she had days of the
restrictions,
week thing, so it needed to be
Week
a
of the
Friday.
month restriction.
You know what? We're voting to change it. We can vote to change it back or change it.
I mean, that's
There you
true.
go.
Sometimes you just have to incrementally back your way into the least worst option. So I would like to make a motion that we move our monthly meeting to the fourth Friday at 9 o'clock in this room, and you've already verified that this room is available on that day and time, right? Yeah, I thought you did that. So moved.
I'll second.
Wonderful. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, there you go. So I won't be here. So you've got
All
next
right.
meeting.
I see you didn't mention that until after the
did.
vote.
I heard it earlier,
Okay, I didn't catch that.
but it is at 9 a.m.
It will be at 9 a.m. I didn't make that part of the motion, didn't I?
It does mean that I can come to the August one.
Okay, okay.
Just a quick question. That would mean we don't meet for 7 weeks potentially, so I'm just asking if there's any project that we're going to miss out on in that time frame.
It would be important to review the Carter Street Hotel project.
I mean, that's sort of a copy and paste project. Can we just copy and paste our remarks?
Arguably,
And this is the one we haven't seen on Carter
if you
Street.
have not seen.
Like, do we want to have an end of June meeting? And
We can.
Here's an
call a
idea.
special meeting.
We're gonna, July 1st is the end of the 60-day initiative. We're gonna want to be hearing about that stuff anyway. We might want to check a couple boxes, jump in right after the 60-day initiative, have a discussion about that, and,
We could.
I don't know, this kind of is really based on, that's really like a, where the staff time lines up.
We could keep the July meeting on the second Friday and just move it to the August.
Or start.
That's
Have
fine.
two and-
Yeah, I'm sorry if the week will make whatever work. If we can look at this more and talk about it again in July, we could meet on the second Friday.
It'd still be 7 weeks in between those two. I mean, whenever we move it, we're gonna.
We're gonna have a 7-week gap at some point.
Yeah, right, unless we have to in June.
We could also do a doodle poll to see if a Thursday works, I mean, I know you all just voted, but we could take a little more time to look at options.
I think we need to take a little more time.
Okay.
I want to do the fourth Friday. I think that works for Sage. We need to put that off. So I'd like to make a motion that we keep our meeting schedule for the July, and we will consider moving our schedule to the fourth Friday for the August meeting.
Second.
All in favor again? Aye. Okay.
Does that mean that I don't have to
You're off
run the
the
meeting
hook.
in July?
You're
Okay.
off the hook.
That's
Almost out of there. Okay, so let's move into updates and reports. Speaking of Design Review Committee,
So the Design Review Committee met on May 18th, and we reviewed 4 projects. One was the Duke mixed-use building on the intersection of Hilliard and Ashland. They came back with some changes. There was formal design review for 130 Biltmore, which is basically a 2-story residence, caretaker residence thing that was approved. And there was formal design review for 1 Oak Street, which was the Aspire project, and there we're seeking conditional zoning. There's several, y'all all know that, but the scale of it's pretty challenging to grasp, 10.5 acres. So we had our 3rd review of the Tribute Hotel, which is on Carter Street, and this was their formal design review. They made some very favorable changes to their architecture, and they decided to pull the project for final vote, and they're coming back in July. We made some requests that were really not met, so that was a very long meeting. And that's the report. Oh, I have a question. Clay, we were discussing this morning, since it's the same owner and developer, why isn't the Tempo and the Tribute not considered a master plan development and having to be submitted as such?
There's a couple of reasons. One, administering that provision of the code is difficult, to say the least. It is so poorly written, it virtually, in my opinion at least, has little legal effect. It is 2 complete different entities that will ultimately house there. Like one is Tempo by Hilton, the other is Tribute, which is a separate company. The development LLCs are different, but have similar partners. And so the definitions of what a development is has not been robust enough to allow us to implement that. So
It seems like, if I remember correctly, on the title blocks, the client is the same name, Milan something something.
it's
A
clearly
minor
the same. There is a substantial amount of the backing is similar to the backing in the development entity, but they are 2 separate entities. And so they don't rely on each other's infrastructure. So we've gone back and forth on this provision, and stormwater looks at things different than we do. And if it was shared parking and things like that, then we would have a code-based reason to be examining these 2 projects together. Because they will be completely separate, that the foundation for that kind of interpretation starts to dissolve. Just because it's 2 people developing similar projects for different people close to each other, it's very difficult for us to require one to do something that impacts the other, which is the intent of that provision, at least in my understanding, was to keep people from trying to, circumvent certain provisions by doing smaller developments. To my mind, there are no provisions can be circumvented. Nothing would change if it was one development or two, basically. And so,
The room numbers might.
pardon me?
Would it kick it to a level 3?
It would kick it to a level 3, so that would be one idea. But like if it was Hilton A and Hilton B, then we would clearly be having one Hilton trying to play games.
So, one of the ones
I
that I
shouldn't
got
say
hit
that.
with from a former planning director, is that if the adjoining development could be sold to a completely different owner and it would not impact the operation or any of the agreements of the other one, then it was not considered a separate development. That was how Shannon kind of
Yeah,
used to see things.
Seemingly satisfied in this case.
yeah. It's already identified. They've already identified tenants,
So
which is
basically, if you can
unusual.
sell it, and there's no remote parking, anything like that, no storm, landscaping, that.
This came up and to draw a distinction, behind the patent is the Avery. There are those 3 parcels that are kind of outliers, the $1 million house. And the developer was trying to acquire those and was showing shared parking and putting townhomes on that. And in that instance, we interpreted that as this would be one development.
Okay.
Because the parking is shared, the access road is shared. All of a sudden now you're talking about shared infrastructure, and that is one development under that.
Okay.
All right, so because in that case, they wouldn't be able to sell off like the parking and still remain in compliance with the rest of the project. So it's integral. The things
Yeah,
are
there
all
were going to
integral
be cross
together.
easements
Yeah.
and stuff, and that's clearly one development, and everything needs to be considered together.
Yeah.
These two stand on their own, and they're separate. That provision needs a lot of work.
Well, from our perspective, we just see it, and it's the same design team with the same title block, and it raises questions. So thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does for us too. It's a hard situation to manage.
That's again, policy level stuff. That's something that
But
needs
it's
to be
also
tightened
design,
up.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay. ADA updates?
Absolutely. So we are really excited that we have hired an executive director that will be starting on July 12th. So more to come on that, and we're working on a formal communication plan for that. We are partnering with AIR and with the Asheville Chamber to do a downtown cleanup towards the end of June, which Dana mentioned. And then we have our Building Our City Speaker Series is June 28th. That's at the Collider. The speaker is Eric Kronberg, who is, I think, self-designated as a zoning whisperer. He specializes in examining and demystifying zoning ordinances to find ways to make great projects possible and help others navigate through the zoning swamp. So we're excited about that as well.
Okay. Thank you. Homeless initiatives update?
There wasn't a lot to talk about this month, other than the Downtown Safety Initiatives presentations are making the rounds, and the Downtown Safety Initiatives do seem to be engaging the unsheltered population, linking them to shelters and resources, and connecting individuals to shelters and basic needs, so that seems like a positive impact of that safety initiative as well.
Cool. Thank you. Downtown update?
Hello again. Great. For anyone who may have just tuned in, I am Dana Frankel, Downtown Planning Manager. A few more updates to share with you all. Providing a link to the project page for the Downtown Safety Initiative, Pack Square Plaza visioning, so we do have an updated timeline, and we'll figure out the best way to involve you all in a meeting towards the end of July. We're expecting the draft plan to be released to the public on July 21st. We are building in some space for review, so we'll look at that sequencing again and figure out the best time to come to you all. But we'll be convening the advisory committee and looking for your feedback on the draft plan. We also, when we're going to be doing these presentations, we'll be talking about next steps of implementation, and we are anticipating some funding, some grant funding to be able to move forward with some of those steps. So that is super exciting. Downtown public restrooms. So we've been talking about this for a while, but we do have a landscape architect on board, and we are going to be working on design plans this summer. I'm hoping actually to set up a downtown public space management committee meeting for early July to just, I know that that group has looked at this site and talked about this site, but just for some early kind of input and context as they work on their first design concepts, and then we'll do some public input on those early design concepts. So look out for that coming in July. Outdoor dining updates. We also have continued to have stakeholder meetings on the proposed changes there, and are planning to get to council in September on that. So again, we'll look at the dates and see what the right time is to come to Downtown Commission and then go to the Planning and Economic Development Committee. So that may be July, that may end up being August, but we'll look at those dates, and we feel really good about where we're at. We've gotten great questions, but really generally positive feedback so far on the proposed changes.
And my sense is that public space management has had its turn with this, and the next stop is here.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my sense. Carter and Patton. So the stormwater project is continuing. They've completed the South Ann portions, and so you likely have seen or will see some impacts on Patton Avenue, so just want to make sure you all are aware of that. There's some pedestrian rerouting taking place as the sidewalk improvements are completed, and so that involves a lane closure at one block at a time. So those are kind of the biggest impacts on Patton that we're seeing now, but that work is coming along, and since we'll see how the agendas end up laying out, but I'd actually love to have the project manager come share more information about that work with you all, if that sounds like a good idea at your next meeting, one of your upcoming meetings. And the budget, sorry, brain. So the budget is scheduled to be adopted by City Council at their next meeting on June 16th. The public hearing for the budget took place at their last meeting and provided a link to more information on the budget. And that is what I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Updating design review guidelines remains in the budget.
Yes.
We anticipate
Yep.
passage.
Yeah,
Great.
we do.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Pack Square visioning schedule is just, hopefully it doesn't move again. Yay. Okay, I have a brief presentation to the Planning and Economic Developments Council Subcommittee. Did I say that right? Monday. That if you're really bored Monday afternoon, you can probably log in and see what I say about this group. And I don't know anything else to add to that.
I'll be at the courthouse that day, so I may be able to pop over.
All right. Any final comments, questions, things that we need to consider, upcoming agenda items that you know about? Very good. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Don't come back. Do what?
Did we hit our
Wow.